Thank you so much. Welcome, everybody, and welcome to the fourth webinar in my series on telehealth. Before we begin, I always like to start with saluting and honoring all of the first responders, the doctors, the nurses, the firefighters, police, all of them, the supermarket workers, all the essential service people. They are really, truly heroes, and our thoughts and prayers are always with them. So today, I am excited to have two wonderful guests. My guests are Dr. Dan Dorri. Dr. Dan Dorri is a specialist in sports medicine and interventional procedures. He's been hailed as a pioneer in minimally invasive procedures, and he's also served as an Olympic team physician. Welcome, Dr. Dorri.
Thank you very much.
Good to see you. And as well, I have Dr. Charles Berg. And by the way, for both of these gentlemen, if I'm going to introduce them by naming all of their accolades and accomplishments, I'm going to need another long hour. So just giving you the highlights. So Dr. Charles Berg is a chiropractor of 40 years. He believes in healing the mind as well as the body. He is a speaker. He is an author. He is a life skills coach. Welcome, Dr. Berg.
Well, thank you, Hala. Good to see you, Danny.
Thank you. Oh, good to see you, John.
And I just learned a little fun fact that we just learned a minute ago that these two gentlemen are actually swim team partners. So that's good.
It's the other side, it's not me. He put me to the dust usually.
Okay.
No worries.
Just before we begin, a little housekeeping for anybody who's tuned into this webinar. So if you want to ask a question, then you can go to the question answer icon at the bottom of the screen and type in your question. Or if you want to be heard, there is a raise your hand icon, and you could raise your hand, and Krista will do whatever she needs to do, and you can actually speak your question and we will hear you. Just a little housekeeping. So again, gentlemen, welcome to both of you. So of course, you know, I've spoken to both of you, and I have the privilege of knowing both of you, and you both believe in healing the mind as well as the body. And I know, you know, for both of you, empathy and compassion and being there for your patients is really important. And by the way, you know, the reason that we're doing these webinars is to be of service to patients who feel disconnected right now, and as well as to be of service to doctors such as yourselves, the doctor who may be a little reluctant to go ahead and, you know, practice telehealth or telemedicine. So the intention is to be of service and to help everybody out there. So Dr. Dorri, I'll begin with you. How you are currently practicing telehealth, correct?
Yes, thank you, Hala. Thank you for Callagy for giving me the opportunity, and I'm happy to see everybody. I'm not seeing you guys, but I'm happy to know you. I appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you for coming on. So Dr. Dorri, tell me how at this time, practicing telehealth, how important is that for your patients at this point in time?
For me, as a clinician, as a person who's taking care of patients face to face, and it's very important for me to continuation of the care in any circumstances. So telemedicine gives me the opportunity to do that. This is very important for me. The second reason would be to keep my patients who are ideally want to take care of them out of the emergency rooms and hospitals. It's very important for my patients who are suffering from pain or injuries not to go to hospitals for any pain, because hospitals at present time are overloaded and they are overpressurized on number of the patients. We need to get, as a provider, we need to get our patients out of hospitals and emergency rooms. That's the main reason I'm doing this, and not only just because of continuation of the care.
Yeah, I just want to highlight that because I think it's so important at this point in time that by providing telehealth and that opportunity, you're keeping the patients out of hopefully the emergency rooms and the hospitals, which is important not just for your patient not to go in that environment, but also to keep the emergency rooms and the hospitals available and open and free for those people who are now, you know, swamping the emergency rooms, who are suffering from COVID and who really need the care. So I just want to highlight that, and that is, you know, another benefit of practicing telehealth. Switching over to you, Dr. Berg.
Yeah.
So I know that, you know, you believe in healing from the inside out. So with that belief, with that in mind, and healing the mind and the body, how important is connecting with the patient now and connecting through telehealth? Because a lot of patients may be reluctant to come out to the office, which, you know, we're all supporting social distancing, and as everybody can see, we're all, you know, social distancing and coming to this webinar from our homes. So you know, let there be no mistake made. I'm not suggesting that they should go, but how important is that?
Yeah, so I was just mentioning to Dr. Dorri that, you know, we are still open with very limited hours because we do have patients that are asking for health. So we're doing all of the social distancing as best we can. And as a chiropractor, it makes it even more challenging because the bulk of our work, I can only speak for me, I've been in practice for 40 years. So the importance of connection. I truly believe that the great majority of us, maybe 1%, according to the statistics or thereabout, are having issues. The rest of us are in states of limbo, anxiety, concern, social contagion of all that's happening. So anytime that there is lack of certainty, we go into a fear response. As soon as we have a fear response, we all know this creates an immunosuppression. So what can I do? Well, maybe what can the chiropractor? I can only speak for myself. Since we can't put hands on, what can we do to try to help the person to reduce the fear, the false evidence appearing real? So I have always been a writer, and I've spent a lot of time now sending out, you know, Jared through the Unblinded movement mentioned about the louder the voice and the more continuity. So my recommendation for people who are listening, other practitioners, really go out of your way. We make phone calls, you know, it's a little old school, but that direct communication, Hala, is something that is profound. And secondly, I write articles. For me, I can express myself, I think, best through the written word. So utilizing email, utilizing any opportunity, the Zoom process, to communicate with people from touching a heart. I think more people are having a bigger issue today on the emotional side, and how do I cope and deal with all of the uncertainty? And therefore, this level of communication, creating the responsibility, is what's going to lend those people to remember us when all of this is done, to say, so grateful for my doctor caring the way he did.
And you know, from a health perspective, from a medical point of view, when one is worried, one is stressed, one is afraid, obviously I'm not a doctor, but that affects their immunity, which will affect their health. So, I mean, can you speak about that, Dr. Dorri, a little bit?
Yes, most of our patients who are in this condition, some of them, they felt left alone. This is very dire situation. Lots of the doctors are not available through the routine medical care. So these patients who are seeing years and years their doctors, we see their anxiety, and we see that how they are worried about what we're gonna do now, when I'm gonna get my medication from, when I'm gonna get my care from, is that gonna affect my health? It's not just question of this virus. Remember, we still have the same pool of patients that we had before this. So if we leave them alone in the wilderness of this crazy time, I would say crazy time, because this is unprecedented. It's never been before. For the last time this happened, it was 1920s. So this is really serious time. So this is our obligation, in my opinion, to reach out personally to every single patient that we have and make sure they are doing right, they are okay. And this is not just about providing service or having an income. This is about ethical part of medicine. Anybody who is under our care is our responsibilities. It's not a question of if I want to do it or I don't want to do it. It's the question of that I should do it. And this is what is our main principle. It was not easy to begin with. Not easy for me and not easy for anybody who has started doing telemedicine. We have no idea how to do this. The only way to do it is to do it, to go in, and every day you learn something new. And that's what I want to emphasize. My colleagues outside, everybody who is in healthcare, this is our obligation. As Chuck said, we need to get to the patients by any means, by writing, by Instagram, by social media, by Facebook, by even writing on the blogs. We need to get our patient and ease their mind. They have enough of their financial problems now, enough of social problems, enough of isolation and anxiety coming from isolation. They should not worry about their healthcare. So the healthcare, the main part of the healthcare did not change. We have an additional problem. Everybody today is focusing on the virus. Yes, it's good to have that, but we should not forget what patients had before, the pains and sufferings, the medical issues that they have. They need to be taken care of. And regardless of we getting paid or we not getting paid, this is our duty to society to do this. And I think that this is very obvious for every single one of us, that we, all of us, when we came out of medical school or chiropractic school or any kind of medical care school, we swear that we're going to service the society in this regard. This is our time. This is our challenge, and we need to overcome it.
You know, I love that. I love you saying that it's not a question of whether we should, but that you have to. It's an obligation because you're servicing your patient as a whole, and this is a service that you're very conscious of. So, you know, for those doctors out there who might be reluctant to take that plunge, that first step into telehealth, from your perspective, it's not even a choice. As a good physician, that is what you should be doing. And I love that, because it's right now, patients need that connection with their physicians. And there is a lot in the world going on. And yes, we are focused on Corona, and we should be, and this is, you know, a major crisis, but we also can't forget the other issues and problems that patients are facing. Dr. Berg, you know, can you add to that?
Yeah, I'd like to. So thank you, Dr. Dorri. That was well stated. The other thing is, yes, let's not focus just on the coronavirus. You know, we've studied that, and they've told us that coronas have been around for years. But what about us? What can we do? What action steps can we take, and how can we support the patient? I think it's imperative to your question. Stress, emotions, the mind body is real. It's been studied now for the last 20, 30 years. When we stress, it creates a hormonal change, a neuronal change to the body, creating a whole host of complications that lend itself to immune suppression. That is clear. So as docs, what can we do to help these people? The first thing is, how do we learn to calm the mind? You know, again, tension, anxiety, it's huge. So I think that the reaching out, what Dr. Dorri can do, I can do, and any other healthcare professional, is when you start with love and you start with support and you just be there to care, it has tremendous healing capabilities. It reduces all of that cortisol that affect to the adrenal gland, which then causes, again, other complexities. So it goes back to the humanness. And thank you, Dr. Dorri, for bringing us there. This is what it's about. If I can't earn, I'm willing to learn. So for the practitioners, what an opportunity for us to actually practice the self-mastery. For those of us in the unblinded movement, what an opportunity to do self-reflection on ourselves. What an opportunity to take a look at our own practices, what's working, what's not working. We are all in a collective pause. And one of the greatest opportunities in pause, there's always a space between a stimulus and a response. And here's the time that we have. So Hala, I'm just reaching out to all of those online to simply ask themselves, how can I actually make the best use of this time for me personally as a healthcare physician to take an honest assessment of my practice and how to enhance it? And most importantly, how can I reach out to all of those amazing human beings? For me, 10,000 plus over 40 years who have given me an opportunity to earn a living and create what I call significance by my ability to return back to them.
Thank you for that. Yes. And just by the way, as a side note, you know, you can earn, their insurance companies are paying for telehealth. So for those practitioners out there, you know, you should know that. In fact, the FCC just announced a 200 million for telehealth funding. And I know, for example, even, you know, with reference to automobile accidents, PIP is paying for telehealth. So you can earn and at the same time service your clients. Just for practitioners out there watching, you know, you should know that.
Yeah.
And in addition, from a business perspective, to keep your practice going, you can't just, you know, be cut off from your patients for a period of 3 months or 6 months or what have you, and then 6 months later find them there. So that, you know, to be connected is, I would imagine, very important. I want to shift a little bit to the practical aspect of things. Dr. Dorri, you know, obviously, a lot of what you do is clinical and, you know, when you are in person with the patient. But, and correct me if I'm wrong, in telehealth, if you are having, such as now, a video conference with one of your patients, you can actually, you know, look at them. They can point the area of pain to you. You can give them some instructions, some exercises. You may not be able to touch them, but there is quite a bit that you can provide through this medium. Am I right or wrong?
You're absolutely right. This is what's happening. The telemedicine actually opened a new horizon for me. I was for years, I'm now a medical director of insurances to review the charts through the tele system, telehealth.
So I want to just interrupt.
And I'm reading the charts.
So you've been doing telehealth even well before coronavirus?
Yes,
okay.
yes. Given the fact that I'm reviewing charts for them, I reach out to the doctors, I talk to them about the patient condition. I was able to have some insight toward how to evaluate the patient without even seeing them. Now, I have another aspect of this, and this is actually a new era for me, which I can see the patient and communicate with patient even better. Let's emphasize on this better. Lots of time when we doing in the office, when I see many patients, I don't have enough time to sit with patient and talk to them face to face, eye to eye. Now I have that time. I see myself in a better clinician when I see the patient face to face in their home, and the communication that created give me better understanding of patient condition. This is not what, when you have a face to face, you have a different type of feelings, different type of objectives that you get. Yes, I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not able to do the examination as I like when I'm inside the exam room, but I'm able to do some examination. We will get this. I'm sure that in 1 year from now, is going to be plenty of the books to how to do a history, how to do an examination for telemedicine. I assure you, 1 year from now, if you go on internet, you see plenty of these books coming out with the experience of the doctors who do this. Myself, I'm developing my templates, my system for examination through telemedicine. I can tell the patient with the videos, the link of videos, what they should do, how they should exercise, how they should do that, perform a medical test that I need. How do, for example, they do prone extension of the spine to find out if it's a facet joint problem. How they do a straight leg raise test. How they do a slump test. I can tell them with a video. They touch the video, they see it, they do it for me, and if they, they create a pain for them, I can know this is a problem. Yes, it's not as accurate as I do a hands-on, but this is the best we can get. Remember, telemedicine gonna stay with us. I think medicine before Corona time will change to medicine after Corona time. This is very important. Whoever left over here cannot understand what's gonna happen after this gone.
Yeah.
You need to get to this now. This is a training time. It is like a grandma who never learned how to play with the computer. Never able to do that after that. You need to do it now. It's a time that computer is out. And if you don't know how to do that, you're not gonna in future know how to do it. So this is a time for you to learn it.
Yeah, and I think that's so important what you're saying, because and what I'm hearing you say is that telehealth is going to be around well after we're over this crisis. And it is, if you're not on board now, then you are going to be of disservice not only to your patients but to your practice. And this is an opportunity to grow. So it's grow or perish. So I think that is important. Yes, we've all seen this in our lifetime, how technology is advancing things, and it shouldn't be. There's no reason why it would be different in medicine. And I think you're right. There's going to be so much technology available to enable physicians to do a lot of treatment evaluations through telehealth. And you're right. There'll always be that, of course, in person, but there's going to be so much that is going to be available for physicians out there, and of service to patients. And going to you, Dr. Berg, you're a chiropractor. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of what you do involves hands-on adjustment, but I know that, if I'm on the video call with you now and I say to you, Dr. Berg, my neck is this way, you might be able to demonstrate something that I could do at home to alleviate my pain.
To your point. So I certainly agree with Dr. Dorri. There's a lot that can be. So let me share with you what we're doing. Jody, who works for me, who's also my wife, is a certified yoga instructor. So we created a program called Chi-Yoga, chiropractic assessment, chiropractic evaluation, followed by a yoga protocol. So what we're able to do is to actually assess the patient chiropractically and then sit with Jody and say, hey, what are the asanas? What are the movements that would most serve somebody? And like Dr. Dorri was saying, can people hyperextend? Can they bend forward? We don't have to use fancy words, but we can actually watch, observe, and see. And we know in the healthcare professions, just give me a little bit of some feedback, and we kind of know in advance, oftentimes before an X-ray is done or even an MRI, is to get a sense. So this becomes a wonderful vehicle for practitioners like ourselves, where we're not monitoring meds, but we're able to actually demonstrate, show patients the kind of exercises that would be most beneficial for different musculoskeletal concerns. The other thing that we can do in chiropractic, we do a fair amount of nutrition. So in my office, I have what I call the spine, vine, mind umbrella. Align the spine, eat from the vine, calm the mind. To me, that is the total umbrella. If I can execute even through language and through pictures what this means, then I think we're doing a tremendous service for our patients. And I will tell you in advance, the feedback from them is wonderful. And every one of us wants to know that we are significant. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. And yeah, and going back to, a lot of what I've been hearing is, you're going to use that human element because, a patient needs to see their doctor. But I agree with you, Dr. Dorri. I think it depends on how you look at it. Sure, you can't go to the office and be face to face, but I think there's a lot to be gained from having a video chat where you can have your physician's undivided attention, because as you just said, a lot of times patients go to doctors, they're waiting for a long time in the waiting room. You sort of go in to see your doctor, and the doctor, and I'm not suggesting any of you do this, but it's part of the practice. The doctor sort of has his head down and taking notes. And I think that the video can actually enhance that human contact in a way, because sometimes when you go to the office and the doctor has, a ton of patients waiting, that the patient leaves the office feeling that they didn't have enough time. And has that been your experience, Dr. Dorri?
Absolutely. I mean, especially if you have a busy office, definitely sometimes you miss. This is no, I mean, nobody can say they don't have that. Imagine a patient dressed up in home, got in a car, drive 30 minutes, 20 minutes to your office, stay in your waiting area for 1 hour, 45 minutes at least to see you, come to your exam room, see your physician assistant or your MA, another 20 minutes wait, you start exam the patient, takes considerable time, 15, 20 minutes with patient, and then you diagnose, you plan, and then you go out. The patient go out, again, the same process until they checked out. This is 4 or 5 hours. Even if you are in a state of mind that is correct, if you are, make sure that, oh, yeah, everything's great. This patient is not in a pain. He's not here he's not suffering. It's nothing. 5 hours of their life, they are coming to your office and they go back. So lots of stuff can get wrong here. The telemedicine will eliminate that. So I'm not suggesting the telemedicine is going to be a replacement of current environment of medical care or chiropractic care, but I would say this is an extra excellent tool in order for you to save time for yourself and your patient, to have an evaluation, to eliminate all unnecessary travel, all unnecessary waiting, and focus on patient care. If it's necessary that patient needs to come in and receive a treatment or receive a procedure or receive an examination, it needs to be done. No question about that. The time is that how many of these patients really need to come in order to get evaluated, especially if it's a follow-up or is a well-known patient for years and years that you know the patient very well. So this is, what I suggested is after the Corona time, this will be stay with us. Right now, all the government regulations are relaxed. So you don't have lots of restrictions that you're gonna have in future or you had before. So now is the time for you to do this and learn how to do it.
Absolutely. Just the level of convenience that you could provide to your patients by, avoiding all of that, calling, making the appointment, driving, as you stated. And what a service it is to provide to a patient. Maybe they had like just a quick question, and the satisfaction of being able to respond, via a call or a video, I would imagine would be truly of service to patients. Dr. Berg, with you and your chiropractic patients, tell us a little bit about the last couple of weeks or so. How has it been going through, telehealth and calling?
Well, the great majority of people are hesitant just based upon, what the concerns are with the uncertainty of who has, who hasn't. So the few people that we've worked with, first of all, they're extraordinarily grateful for me keeping my office open. So we're not here to argue, is that right, is it wrong? What I will say is we all know the philosophy, we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, and to use them proportionately. So I think that this is a great opportunity because we have to learn, even myself, use, that concept. So be there as a listener. What human beings need, they want to be heard and they want to be seen. And that's just not the words, but actually giving them that opportunity. I do remember after a very busy day, leaving my office and feeling not good about me because there were a couple of people that I felt rushed with. So what I chose to do was to call them later that night and be so honest as to say, Hala, I'm so sorry. I don't know if you felt this way. I felt incomplete. And as a result, I want to take this time. Is this a good time for you? And it gets back to the same old story. In our practices, we're always concerned about new people, new business, driving business. What about being so consistent with your people, being so honest with integrity that people never leave you? And I just think that's a very valuable point here. And what we're doing here today and the discussion we're having is reinforcing the absolute importance of what we've learned through Unblinded as well, and whatever Sean calls that grade 5 listening and speaking to hearts, and this opportunity, as Dr. Dorri says, it's going to be here. There is no question. Who knows if there's going to need to be brick and mortar on certain, certain businesses. Maybe there's an opportunity to create a whole new scenario, but I'm grateful for it. As an elder, I'm going to say that I feel like I am an elder of my tribe. And as a result, all I want to do is to share what I've learned that has been so inordinately helpful to me. And that's why these communications are invaluable for now and for our future of our practices.
That is beautiful, Dr. Berg. And I do want to follow up with you on that, but I just want to there is a question, and we're going to get to it in a minute, but just to remind everybody, if you have a question, you can type it in the question and answer icon. Or if you want to be heard and speak your question, just hit the raised hand icon. Dr. Berg, since you touched on that, I'll follow up with you. Can you tell me a little bit about your Triune of Truth?
Oh, sure. I'll make it brief, but it came to me at 5 o'clock in the morning because that's that beautiful time for me when things just seem to manifest. Align the spine references not only as a doctor of chiropractic correction of structure, but all physical activity to the human body, which has been discussed over a lifetime. From the vine, healing from the vine is that it is important, as we all know also, about the importance of putting in foods and nutrients to the body that creates the body to work. We have an innate system that is freaking brilliant. It knows what to do. We have to be respectful. And for years, many of us didn't put too much concern. Much of science today is teaching us how important nutrients are to the body to simply allow this amazing machine to work. And finally, calming the mind, which is the entire emotional side. And, if we had more time, I truly believe in my heart that 90% of illness comes about from emotional trauma that the body is now manifesting. And I wrote an article called something to the effect that the body is the war place of the mind. It's where all manifestations of these kind of horrific emotional events manifest. So when we can work, and I do believe that self-mastery has everything to do with working on 3 dimensions, if we do so, we can bring ourselves to a healthier and more peaceful existence.
Thank you for that. And we have a chat here. Hello from something is happening. Sorry about that. From Sanjay Patel, hello. You said you can't see yourself. I think you can, and correct me if I'm wrong, Krista. We have somebody saying that they can't see themselves. I think we can hear you if you hit the hand icon, but welcome and thank you for being here. Okay, And we do have a question, Dr. Dorri, and I'll shift that over to you. So someone's asking, what do you need in documentation for a patient do you need before you conduct a telehealth consultation? And whether, do you treat a telehealth consultation differently for an existing patient as opposed to a new patient?
Yes, thank you for the good question. It's very fundamental to, if you do this for sake of keeping your business alive, to get paid. So like any other documentation that you do, you follow the same instruction by CMS. At present time, CMS relax all law regarding the HIPAA. So you can use any kind of video conferencing with the patient. If you not video conference, then you need to use the telephone consult codes for it. So for that
would be HIPAA compliance?
Yes, it's compliant. Yes, you need to just basically have the same rules as before. For regular patients that you use, you need to use the same system for this. It's not different. Just make sure that you document that how you examine the patient. For example, if you do an examination and you say, oh, I palpate, you need to say is a self-palpation. You cannot say I palpate. If you have this before in habit of saying that I palpate the patient, for example, shoulder anteriorly and it's painful, you cannot say that anymore. Remember that. Now is not, you are not the one who's doing it, it's a self-palpation. So you need to document as such. Same in the area of the plans. You need to say this is a telemedicine conference via video or via audio. So it's different. And you need to emphasize what you are doing, exactly what you're doing. I called the patient and the patient responded. And this is then if it's a conference call by phone, you need to use the phone conversation codes by CMS. And if a patient is an existing patient, is an established patient, you need to use the follow-up codes. Any of them you can use, depends on how much time you put it. If you specifically put too much time, for example, if you put 45 minutes with patient and you're not hitting the bullets that is necessary to build that code, you need to explain in your plan that I spend 45 minutes, 30 minutes, 25 minutes with patient. And you need to say what kind of telemedicine you use. For example, if you're using DoxyMe, you need to say I use DoxyMe. At present time, the regulation for HIPAA and DAA is lifted. I mean, I prefer to have them on board. Like you can use Zoom Telehealth, and also you can use like DoxyMe or any other, like OrthoLive. They are all different modules that you can use to see the patient, and they are all DAA approved. You need to have that for HIPAA. But at present time, everything is relaxed. You can use FaceTime. You can use Skype. You can use regular Zoom. You don't need to have BAA at present time. This is a state of emergency situation. Right. So it's not different. Basically, whatever you're doing before, just even they relax all the additional documentation. The only thing that we are concerned and is not showing very well on the new patients is the consent to get treated. That's the only thing is not clear in the system. So what we do is that we get the patient to sign the consent via email and send it back to us. And we set that up, signed document system, that the patient is a new patient. They allow us to do the treatments for them. And we send it to the patient, we get it back, and then we see the patient as a regular patient. So that's the only area that we are, still is not very clear in the system that should you do it? Should you not do it? So we don't care. We go by the old rule and we get the consent via email. And that's the only difference between the new patients and the existing patient, getting the consent to allow you to treat the patient.
Thank you so much. I'm sure that is so helpful, everything that you just said for practitioners who want to do this. And yeah, just to the listeners, Krista, are you there?
I am here, yes.
I thank you. Just to answer, because Mr. Sanjay Patel says he can't be seen on video, which I understand the attendees, but if he hits the hand icon, we will hear his comment or question. Am I correct?
I can unmute him if he wait. Okay, here we go.
Okay. Is he unmuted now? There he is. We can hear you, but we can't see you, but we can hear you. So
He's still unmuted. Can you, there we go.
okay.
Sanjay, are you with us?
Hi, I'm here.
Hi. Hi, Sanjay. Welcome, welcome. We can hear you.
Okay, thank you. I just want to confirm that, yeah, because actually I'm watching everything, but I can't see my face on the there, and then I was confused that I'm still in the meeting or not. I'm outside. Like, just want to confirm. Thank
No,
you.
you are. Yes, thank you. Thank you. And thank you for joining us. Did you have a question, Sanjay, or you just wanted to confirm that?
Yes, I have a question. Actually, very critical situation now. So like a scary weather, like fears outside. So doctors and everybody, some doctors is not available, some of them once a week. So my treatment was continuous like 3 weeks before, and suddenly like the fear is more and more. So now my treatment is not continue. Now I am in the home, so I'm surviving with my pain. So just wanted that, like my doctor called me one day like last week, and he said if you want to come you can come, but I'm really scared because I have my 3 small kids and I don't want to go outside, and maybe I will contact with someone who is affected to the corona or something. So that's the only question, like,
Yeah. So Sanjay, and I'll let the doctors speak to that, but it appears that, you would be a perfect patient who is in need of a telehealth consultation with your doctor. I mean, it would benefit you, I'm sure. How would you feel? Would you feel better if you were able to get your doctor on video? And although you can't be on video now with us because we're holding this webinar, but if you were to have a telehealth consultation with your doctor, you will be able to do whatever technology he's using, FaceTime or Zoom. He would see you, you would see him, and you can avoid, having to venture out. And I'll let Dr. Berg, add to that.
Well, the first thing from my perspective with Sanjay, I know nothing about his condition. I don't know if he's on, medications, and if he needs recommendations with regards to usage. And if it was, then I'd have to pass that on to Dr. Dorri, since, we are not drug-based people. However, getting back to what we've talked about, to help an individual who has high level of anxiety, the first thing that he or she should be doing is to really focus on things as simple, and I'm not saying this is your answer, but how do we calm ourselves? Deep breathing, trying to find out a little bit more about the nature of his pain, placing him in certain postures, the utilization of either heat, moist heat, or ice, depending upon how long he's had this, that whole potpourri. I would also have him emotionally tune into and read on spending time in his immediate levels of gratitude. He can get so fear-based from all of this. But if the pain is that severe, there are doctors and there are pharmacists, and there are ways in which people, but let Dr. Dorri address that, because it sounds to me that it might be more of a concern than, let's say, just a simple musculoskeletal issue. Dr. Dorri, do you want to comment? Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, that's the reason that I talked about doctors needs to do this. Unfortunately, I don't have any data that how many doctors. I don't know, Sanjay, what body part hurts, or where do you live?
Sorry Sorry to interrupt you. I am living in Union City, and my treatment was continuously before 3 weeks ago. Then I have a chiropractor and I have a acupuncture doctor, and I was going there like 3 times a week in Jersey City somewhere, close to my house, like not far, maybe 2 miles in 2 miles. So yes, but that's my question, like what should I do now, because I can't go outside. He called me last week, if you want to come you can, but I scared because they said like keep social distancing, and now the rate of the coronavirus cases patients is higher and higher day by day. So
Sanjay, did you
I
ask
prefer
him?
that.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Huh?
When he called you,
Yeah.
your doctor, did you
Huh?
ask him
Huh?
if you can
Huh?
have a video chat with him? Did you ask him if he's
Uh,
telehealth?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, he can do it. Yeah.
Okay, so I would encourage you to go ahead and make that connection and have that chat with him, and maybe there are things he can tell you to do at home, exercises and things of that nature.
Yes, ma'am. Actually, I'm doing that, and I am doing the ice bag. I'm using the ice bag when I have like more and like worse pain. Then I'm doing that, all those things that he was teaching me that time. So yes, whatever I can do myself, like I am doing. But that's what my question to you, like what should I do? But I get my answer now. Thank you so
Very
much.
good. And
I think
thank you,
I think
Sanjay.
no.
Mhm.
I think the best way for patients like Sanjay is that to reach out to their provider. Sometimes the provider needs to be pushed toward using telemedicine. It's not just our duty to create this. I will really suggest to any patient outside who are left alone to reach out to their provider and ask and request this kind of treatment. They request having the follow-ups through the telemedicine. This will help the society to move forward. So it's not just because Sanjay has this pain to sit home and say, I'm suffering through this because I'm afraid my kid's going to get this sickness. So I really suggest to everybody, including Sanjay, to reach out to providers. Providers is not in that area. I'm sure you can find another institution that may provide a service. I know lots of people now do this. So the best way for you is same as you finding your doctor. If you are not getting the service that you need from your doctor, you need to find another person who do that service. Breaking news is that we are not sure that this is going to last, 1 month or 2 months. We have no ending time to this. So at present time, we have no exact date that this is going to finish. So prepare yourself for the long run and start now, because otherwise, especially people who have pain, and they have pain in my profession, and their pain become more than 6 weeks. If you go to the chronic pain mood, that's not good. That your body gonna have damage then. And then you're gonna stay in that condition for a long, long time. So it's very important for you to treat your acute pain properly with examinations, with getting the exercises, with getting the treatments. And even if you need medication, Sanjay, you need to set up a medical doctor to see you too, in case that if you need medications to help you the process of the inflammation. So that's very important.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you, Mr. Patel. We appreciate you participating. Also, I know some doctors now, and I'm certainly, I understand perfectly the, not wanting to go out and having children and being afraid of your loved ones and completely, pushing for and supporting social distances. But in those cases where you absolutely must go see the doctor, I know a lot of doctors now have changed their practices, meaning they've, only seeing one patient at a time, leaving an interval, cleaning up the office, providing, mechanism to make it a safer environment.
Mhm.
We have another question from a Miss Almonte. Thank you for your question. Do you believe, she asks, telehealth improves patient engagement? Dr. Berg, would you want to take that question?
Sure. Well, I believe that anytime you have an opportunity to be one-on-one with that patient without having the concern of others before you and behind you, simply, as we stated before, gives yourself a greater level of presence. And your ability to be there, even if we're not in physical contact, but Hala, like right now, my eyes looking at you, you looking at me, seeing my level of intensity in terms of being there for you, I can't see how that can hurt in any way, but rather deepen the relationship. And when it comes back to healthcare, the people who enjoy their doctors, they like them not because they're just an amazing clinician, but once again, they see them, they hear them, and they know they're there for them. Extending our cell phones to our patients and saying, look, call me, do not hesitate, is another way of creating this type of relationship. So it's like everything else in our lives, the quality is about the relationship we can establish, being there for one another, letting them know day or night, please feel free to reach out. I feel that way.
Thank you. We have another question. I want to get to everybody's questions. So the question is, I was wondering if the patients are being more compliant now and staying true to their treatment in a time like this where everyone is worried and stressed, and how doctors like Dr. Dorri are reassuring the patients about their medical problems.
It's a learning curve. It's learning curve for me. It's learning curve for my patients. They didn't have this before. So for some of them, it's difficult, especially I have a huge geriatric, basically elderly patients who are not familiar with the concept of technology. Even they don't have the access of some of the technology, even a simple smartphone, some people don't have it. Mm-hmm. I try to manage this by even getting a phone call. Even if I don't get paid, I don't care, because the connection I make with the patient will ease their mind, and that would be great. So that's what I try. It's a learning curve for everybody. Sometimes I ask their family member to be there, like they come to the office with them, and create the technology gap, gone. So that's, they can use some kind of device that we can talk to them. Is that any way for me for sure to tell the patient that this is gonna be okay, this is a perfect diagnosis? No, it's not. It's definitely, we have some gaps here, gaps in the knowledge. We, as a physician who trained for 19 years, I never had training on telemedicine. So whatever I do right now is based on my experience and readings and webinars like this. I learn from the best.
Together, right?
Yes, we learn. This is a learning for everybody.
By the way, Dr. Dorri and Dr. Berg, please just, for those people who are listening, tell us where they can find you, where your practices are, and where you're located. Dr. Dorri?
Right now, I'm located in the World Wide Web. So I have 5 offices overall in North New Jersey, Bergen County, Essex County. But you can reach out to primortho.com, or you can, text to my office. Have a 201-388-9500 is my office number. But if you go on primortho.com, it's a specific button for telemedicine. If you click on that, you put your information, we'll reach out to you.
Thank you. And Dr. Berg?
Sure. So my office is Rivervale, V as in Victor, Rivervale, New Jersey, Rivervale Chiropractic Center in Rivervale, New Jersey. Our office number is 201-666 5300.
Thank you. And we are running short on time, so I'm going to leave the last words for you guys, starting with you, Dr. Dorri. Your final words, 2 minutes.
Difficult time, unprecedented situation. It's really difficult for everybody. I understand that. As a clinician, as a medical care professional, I salute every single frontline doctors, my friends in ICUs, in emergency rooms. I really take my hat off for them. And I want to say this is a great time. This is our real heroes. As a clinician who are in pain management, I have no opportunity to provide that service, but this is the way I provide the service to my society, and hope that anybody who can help the society to heal this, help in any way. Stay home if you can. If you cannot, social distancing. This will pass. We will beat this together. We will stand aside along each other and beat this, and we will pass this. This may change our world a little bit, but is a good way of changing. It's a healing for the nature, and is healing for our minds. We need to go through this. We do it. Thank you very much to help us to go through this.
Thank you. Dr. Berg, final words?
Sure. Well, final words is what I've always shared with everybody, and most importantly, even to myself, and that is to take extraordinarily good care of you. Fear is not going to support us. We have to be cognizant that this corona exists. It's going to impact 1% of the population. The great majority of us are going to be okay. And that's not to challenge it, but reflection, introspection. How have I been caring for myself? It is really important those people with a really good immune system are going to be in a much greater position to not contract and have severe consequences. And I do believe that for the majority of us, all of us listening, we intellectually know this, but we are not executing on it. So please, all of you out there, and I do honor everyone who is in that front line, thank you for all that you do. But for everyone listening, take an honest, introspective journey to yourself. How can I improve? How can I show up as not a victim of a history, a master of my destiny, taking best care of me and being a model for my family and others around me?
Thank you, Dr. Berg. And I want to thank Dr. Dorri, Dr. Berg. You guys were amazing, and what wonderful content and help you gave today. I want to thank Mr. Patel for his question, and everybody else who asked a question. I'm sorry, there is a question. Thank you. There is a notation that Clifton Wallington Medical Group Internal Medicine is fully on telehealth. We welcome any patients. Thank you for that comment. And we are glad you are practicing telehealth. And my little 2 cents here. Again, thank you both very much.
Thank you, Hala.
Thank you
for
very
having
much.
us. Yeah.
Looking forward.
Yes,
Chuck,
we will
soon
continue. Yes, absolutely. And my little 2 cents, as difficult as this gets for some of us, and a lot of people are getting restless sitting home, my take on it is, let's try to step back and into our gratitude. And I feel blessed and grateful that I am able to do this from the comfort of my home. And we should remember that this is a blessing, and the least we could do, as both doctors have said, is to take care of our health. And when you're feeling stressed and when you're feeling down, reach out to your provider, talk to them, but also remember that there are doctors and nurses and first responders who are going into the war zone every day. Thank you all for listening, and see you next time. I'm Hala Jaloudi with Callagy.
Thank you, Hala.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hala. Great.
Bye-bye.